Hello everyone. If you like my video, please subscribe, like and share it for watching upcoming videos. Thank you. Hello students. I hope everyone is in good health. Today I am going to begin a new lesson 2, that is classification of plants. The introduction of this lesson is that Biology deals with the living organism. Now living organism can be plants, can be animals. Animals also, various categories of animals we often see in this universe. Some are water animals, some are insects, some are small animals, some are wild animals. Even we human beings also come under the higher category of animals. So animals cannot be put under the same category. We cannot put all the category of animals in the same group. So if we want to study about the animals, different types of animals, so what we have to do, we have to categorize them. Then categorize them means we have to put them in different groups so that it will be easy for us to study them nicely and easily. So that's why we need to classify them. So similarly with the plants also, plants are also living things. Various types of plants we see. Some plants grow in deserts, some plants grow in water, some plants grow in terrestrial, some plants grow in very moderate type of climate. Like this, various categories of plants we see, which are all living things, but we cannot put all the plants in same category. So we need to classify them by putting them into different categories. How we will put them into different categories? If we put them into those plants which are having similar characteristics, some of the characteristics will match with them, they will be coming under the same category. So in this way, the putting them similar types of living organism into a specified group is known as classification. So what is classification? Classification means grouping organism together on the basis of certain common features. Certain common features means, what are the common features we often come across? That they are telling about that certain common features of it is a system of putting organism with similar characteristic with one group. So this definition tells us the full meaning of this, that when we put them, classification says us that grouping of the living organism on the basis of common features. If they are common, their features matches, then only we will put them in one group. And this system of putting organism with similar characteristics into one group, this process is known as classification of living organism. So if I do with the plants, then classification of plants. If I do with the animals, classification of animals. Now this we will do with this chapter deals with the classification of plants. So what we will write in short, the definition. In biology, classification is a system of arranging living organism into groups based on their similarities and differences. And differences means if they differ from each other, then we will say that these are the exceptional qualities that makes them differ from each other. Because I cannot say that if I put all the 6-legged animals together, but then also they are differ from each other, I cannot put all the 6-legged animals into the same category. That animal can do, this animal cannot do. So different features also we will put there in the category, in the group. Now let us know about the advantages. What is the main advantage of doing the classification? If I do the classification, then what happens? The characteristics of all members of the group can be understood by studying only the characteristics of a few members. You are not required to study all the members belonging to the same group. If you study few of the members, same group, then you can easily say that the other members are also having these common features. This is the very important. So you are not required to learn all the members of the same group. Now classification makes the study systematic. It is very systematic, very organized. That means in ABCD you should not learn that A, D, F, J, K, like this you cannot write. It is very unsystematic. Similarly, here also classification makes the study very systematic. Grouping and everything, systematic writing. All the animals with the 6-legged animals will be together, 8-legged animals will be together. Like this animals we are doing with the plants also, which can prepare their own food together, which are desert plants will be together. Like this we can put the similar categories. Classification make the study systematic. It highlights the relationship between different organism. It also says the relation between one organism with another organism. It is very helpful. It helps in identifying different organism and placing them into particular groups. Suppose you got two types of plants, two different categories of plants. Now you want to place them into different groups. Now you are knowing the groups. Then this type of plant is having this all common features. These common features are matching with that certain group. So you can easily say, yes, this plant will go to group D or group C, like this. So you can easily say that until and unless you learn the groups, you know the common features of them, you cannot place the plants over there. So it will be very easy to identify the different organism and placing them in their right place. Now coming to the next point, it also gives us an idea about the evolution of organism from simpler to more complex form. Always study from simple to complex. So similarly here also, always we'll study the simple things first, then we slowly go to the complex organism. Similarly here also, first we start with the unicellular, then we will go to the slowly to the multicellular organism. Like this, similarly here also we will see that it gives us the evolution of organism. Evolution means growing rise to that, to organism from simpler to the more complex form. So these are the basic advantage we are getting by doing the classification of living organism of the plants group. Now coming to the classification of living world. Classification of living world, actually living world was broadly classified into two major kingdom, animal kingdom and plant kingdom. Animal kingdom is known as Animalia, kingdom Animalia, and plant kingdom is known as kingdom plant. Now there is a little bit confusion about this two broad categories. Why there is a confusion? Because few of the living organisms contain both the characteristics of the plants and the animals. For example, let us take bacteria. You know, they are classified into the category of plants, but they contain both the characteristics of plants and animals. Why? Then what happened? This is the problem. This is the big confusion. Similarly, some of the protozoan also, it has been seen that they are coming under the category. Actually, they are coming under the category of animal kingdom. But Euglena again is protozoan under that. You will see Euglena contains chlorophyll like the plants, but it is devoid of cell wall, which plants are having. Cell wall is made up of cellulose, that is the characteristics of the plant, but it is devoid of that. So it is some characters are matching, some characters are not matching. That means it is a very confusing. So where we will put this living organism? In the ancient time, this confusion was there. Later on, a scientist, Robert Whittaker, he suggested that bacteria cannot be classified under plants and protozoan cannot be put under the animal kingdom. So he proposed a 5 kingdom classification of the living world, and then he started describing the 5 kingdoms one by one. What are the 5 groups he described? First group, that is the kingdom Monera. You have to remember 2-3 features of them with one example minimum each of them. Okay, so kingdom Monera. First group is the kingdom Monera. It includes always microscopy. Microscopy means they are so small that you cannot see them with the naked eye. Powerful complex microscope to be observed. Now unicellular or single-celled organism with a cell wall but no nucleus. This is the first point. Okay, and that's why what happened? It is a microscopic unicellular. Unicellular means what? Having one cell. Single-celled organism having a cell wall but no nucleus. That means they have a poorly developed nucleoid which contain the genetic material. This nucleus, they poorly, very poorly, because nucleus is not there, so nucleoid is there which contain actually all the genetic material in them. So what is the example of this category comes under? Bacteria is the very best example of this. Now coming to the Protista, kingdom Protista. Now slowly the progress will go on. So here also we will see that it is progressing like this. Kingdom Protista. Now what happened? It is also unicellular single cell. Now well developed nucleus. What is the difference between the two? With no nucleus, this one is well developed nucleus. Who are coming under this? You can take any name. Amoeba, Paramecium, Chlamydomonas, Euglena, any name you can take. Okay. So amoeba is a very old, well-known. Paramecium is also. So next is the kingdom fungi. Kingdom fungi. Now you will see that the unicellular, now it is coming to the more than one cell. It is multicellular. It can be mostly multicellular and many cell organism. Many cell, multicellular means more than one cell. They are many cell organism. Now they are characterized what? By the absence of chlorophyll. Please remember this. They are characterized by the absence of chlorophyll. That means they are what type of nature? Saprophytic in nature. Saprophytic in nature means they will depend on other dead decay for their food and nourishment. Chlorophyll should be there for the preparation of the food by the green plants, but fungi are absence of chlorophyll, so they cannot prepare their own food, so they have to depend on the dead and decaying matter for their food. So that's why what they are known as saprotrophs or saprophytic in nature. Any example you can take? Yeast is the very good example. Bread molds and some of the mushrooms also you can take. Okay. Now coming to the kingdom Plantae. Now we will see kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae also includes multicellular eukaryotes with cellulose. What is eukaryotes? Presence of nuclear membrane in them. With cellulose is also present in them, and cell wall. They also have chlorophyll in them. If they are having chlorophyll with them, then what happens is they are autotrophic in nature. That means they can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now coming to kingdom Animalia. That is the last of this. Now kingdom Animalia are also multicellular animals. They are heterotrophic. Opposite of autotrophic is heterotrophic in nature. What is heterotrophic mode of nutrition means what? They cannot prepare their own food but depends on other plants and animals for their food and nutrition. So other than these, they also have one more characteristic. They possess a nervous system, and nervous system means what? Sense organ will be also there. Nervous system with sense organ, which kingdom Plantae don't have. Animals are also classified into two broad categories. What are the two broad groups? Invertebrates and vertebrates. What is invertebrates? Absence of backbone. Invertebrates. Vertebrates means backbone. Animals without a backbone is known as invertebrates, and vertebrates means animals with a backbone. So children, we human beings are coming under the category of vertebrates. These all classification we are going to do in the next chapter. In the classification of animals, we will learn them in details. Now we will see the kingdom Monera. The example is what we have learned. The kingdom is having the example bacteria. Let us see. The kingdom mainly contains what? Bacteria. And bacteria, we have known that it is a single cell organism, and the nuclear membrane is not enclosed into the nucleus material is not enclosed in the nuclear membrane. So they are having but it is organized in a nucleoid. That is the specification of this. Okay. So this point is very important, till nucleoid. And that's why the nuclear membrane is absent. That's why they are known as what? Prokaryote. The nuclear membrane, when the nuclear membrane is present, we say it is eukaryote. That you have learned in the kingdom Plantae. The nuclear membrane is absent, it is known as prokaryote. Please remember these two terms. Now their cell wall, which are also not made of cellulose. So it is a rigid structure. Rigid means very hard and tight structure. These bacteria feed by absorption of externally digested food. They take it. That's why they have to depend on others. So that's why they are known as what? Heterotrophs. Because you know what is heterotroph? They depend on other plants and animals for their mode of nutrition. Now many others you will find that they are parasite in nature. What is mean by parasite in nature? Parasite means living on other living plants for their food and nutrition. Okay, so this is all about this structure of the bacteria and everything we will do in the next class. I hope you have understood this part of this lesson, the classification mainly. Please learn them. Now keep studying them nicely. Have a good day. Thank you.